Ladies and gentlemen, I have struck a nerve. The Sikhs are angry. Same thing with the Pakis too. Well, I think there's a difference between these fucking idiots, but it's just like whatever, right? So basically, I went to the corner store just like to run some errands. I wasn't even out on the road for 20 minutes. These guys came out in force. And let me tell you something, they are mad. Okay? The Sikhs are so mad because for the longest time they didn't want anybody to know about this pedophile or any of the other ones that they had, right? So to go briefly over, what he did, he's doing all these things for attention, obviously. Like you don't you don't necessarily do something that is outlandish as trying, like, even if it's just like a rehearsal marriage, like trying to rehearse marry a 9-year-old girl at Disneyland, a public park in France, no less, and then like rent the place out exclusively to yourself, hire a bunch of extras. Like the money involved in this like has to be outsourced from his parents, like inheritance somehow, his family. They're well off, obviously. And this is very much the case for the Bramptons. The Bramptons in Sikh. No, the Sikhs in Brampton. Like they live here, they like to huddle together, and they like to gang rape women. Like it's one of those things where even though in this case this guy very much acted on his own, he didn't act on his own. So he had a YouTube account of 12 million subscribers with like 6 million views. So obviously he's botting, right? And one of the victims, like a 15-year-old, like is actually her family who got pissed because this guy had this YouTube channel up and was like, basically like, shaming her. I don't want to say that word because it's like she has nothing to do with this, and like obviously she's not. But like what I mean. Like this guy, this is his act, right? He pretends like he's some sort of famous like movie producer, actor, like director, whatever, and he's always with Disney. He's always with the Disney man. Like when he got the rehearsals for these 15-year-old girls where he essayed them and he got charged. He went to prison for this, by the way. So, and like, I gotta bring this up because how do you go to prison, right? And you get let out. If I get let out, right, there's gonna be people waiting for me to kick my ass. You know what I mean? Her family, my family, just like regular, like people in general. Motherfucker got picked up by his family. And not only are they paying for this guy, all of his like sexual, like deviant escapades and stuff, they're also like covering for him. You know what I mean? Like they're like there's a level of love that you go beyond when your son is that much of a dirtbag, and like I get to say this, heck, excuse me, because we are the same age. I turned 40 in June. He turns 39 in October. Like the Sikhs are going out of their way to piss me off, like trying absolutely out of like going left field, like flashing me with their lights, racing their cars around, waking my whole family up at night. And this is why we gotta like air their fucking laundry out because it's too long, man. Like, how does it feel there's so many ethnicities on this planet, right? Yet for some reason you can pay, rap producers, whatever, and suddenly there's a bunch of Sikh guys who are rapping now. What the fuck? Like, come on, like, think about that. Like mainstream media, right? And I'm not saying like that if they're not talented, like they shouldn't, whatever, right? But it's just like out of nowhere and so inorganic, and like nobody questions it because, like, really, in reality, like, did anybody know about like, well, beyond his like entourage and shit, like how bad Puff Daddy was really getting down at his parties? Like, I don't think really people like they had an idea, they could assume like bad things, you can assume the worst by looking at Cassie on that, hotel tape, getting assaulted by Puff Daddy, and just like make your assumptions from there. But like you wouldn't be able to go out on a limb and say, hey, you know what? These guys use baby oil so excessively, like the entire room is full of it, and like that's their fun times. That's their freak off, right? And then when you get the evidence, it's like, holy shit, what's with all the baby oils, man? Puff Daddy, what are you doing? It's like, no wonder, no, like, honestly, no wonder this guy was like, Puff Daddy, no wonder you're so fucking greasy all the goddamn fucking time. Every single time I see this motherfucker, he's so shiny and greasy. Like and he's like, yo, and if you know what I mean? Like you say that, and some black people hear, he's like, yo, man, you're racist, you're racist. Like, yo, and then if you had the context, would you be saying that? Obviously not. In fact, I think most black people want to disassociate like Puff Daddy and pretty much anybody who's with that guy from the black race, and yeah, I would too. The same way, like, I don't really consider Sikhs to be brown for real though. Like they call themselves that. It's just like, no, man. I see with the skin bleach how you get down. Like, yo, behind closed doors, you guys make fun of black people all the time and shit. Like, let's just talk about this one time, right? Um, and I know people be like, yo, you just be talking all this shit. Well, yeah, it happened. So what are you gonna do, right? So it's just like a Twitter post, right? And it was just like harmless. This random black guy said at this the post of like this Indian dance party or whatever, this like club. Like it smelled crazy in there, and it's just like this nobody, just like like no offense to the guy, like I never heard of the guy, you don't actually see his face. It's just like an avatar of like whatever, and then like he has like black friends or black whatever, right? Like, and then the racist waves, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up because that was a Punjabi song, my guy. Yeah, that's like that's like their favorite one. Like if you play that one and you go to Brampton, people are gonna like dance. People, you just pull down the window, you play that stupid song, they like dance. They look like fucking retards in the process too and shit. See, political correctness, man, is the reason why we're in this mess right now. See, Trump is protecting all these pedophiles, and people are pointing the finger at him. And see, here's the thing, right? Like, politics is one of those things where you think that you're invincible until like your support is lost. Now, am I willing to admit that maybe Trump was a part of this Epstein shit? No, I don't think anybody who knows Trump or who knows his side would possibly implicate him or whatever, right? But see, the thing is, we have so many other guilty people on the other side, like the royal family, you know, Puff Daddy most likely. Like, yeah, and so many other famous celebrities who, want to distance themselves from this kind of crowd. And we have to bring it to light because, like, they'll go to like any length to try to get away from it. And that's why Trump is just like, I could expose everybody, but then I might not get reelected again, or I might not get funding, or I might whatever. Like, and if he makes enough enemies, don't you think that there's going to be an assassination attempt on Trump yet again? You know what I mean? Like, if he just keeps making enemies, because it's like the guy's back's to the wall. Everyone's like, release the list, right? And if he does it, and he sells out his whatever, his supporters, these pedophile fucks who gave him money, can't help him campaign and shit, like yeah, and that's what politics is. Now, do I think he should release the list? Absolutely, because if we live in a world where guys like Jaskarn, judge, cannot judge me, get to walk, get to kept out of mainstream media. Mm-mm-mm. And back to what I was saying about the Sikhs in mainstream rap and shit. I mean, yeah, I haven't listened to rap in years and shit. It all seemed to materialize roughly around the same time the Toronto Raptors, aka a bunch of African Americans, and I emphasize American because they all traded off the team the second they won. Let's see Toronto Raptors win another. No, they're not. They're not. And the fuck boys who came out to celebrate, them winning the whatever, jumping on cop cars and shit. So I'm saying because you had that fuck boy, some of the Hyundais, whatever his name is, right? His name is Batty. I think his name is Batty because he's a fucking Batty guy. selling you some fucking, Kias and shit. And like he would go to like every fucking single Raptors game front row seats and like fucking stink up the place and like all the players just trade the fuck off that team and it's just like they just want to belong so bad and it's like what is it, right? You guys got a venue coming up, what is it, Rebel nightclub? It's on a Thursday. What's the matter, you guys can't have a Friday or a Saturday? I love it, man. And it's like, how is it that this story has been kept out of mainstream? Like, don't you think people be talking about this shit like non-stop? Like, how are we talking about like? I know Epstein has been like, one of those things that's like a hot topic, and I'm not trying to say like don't talk about Epstein. I'm not one of those conspiracy conspiracy theorists. Although I have some conspiracies, especially about Russia. Oh, oh, speaking of Russia, dude, like, can you imagine, right? If the Hindus take over and they win elections in Russia and like they have the help of the Russians to like, help win elections and they help run the country together like a coalition, a Russian Indian, conglomerate. Because like it or not, like people don't know this, right? Um, one of the top aircrafts, I mean fighter jets, right? So this is like, the newest gen. I think it's like fifth gen. I'm not. I got to brush up on my air fighter, whatever language. So is manufacturing them, right? Obviously, Russia developed it, did all the engineering, all that shit. But India's helping to manufacture them. They have plants that build these aircrafts. They produce these fighter planes, and I like them. They look like if anybody's ever seen the anime Macross Plus, they look like the dark blue fighter jet. That gold is his name. Gold he uses. This is a Zendradi alien human hybrid. His name is Gold. But like for real, like if India takes Russia, like in the elections or like by force, I doubt by force. No way, no way. It's like wishful. That's like delusional thinking. Like one day, Russia was taken by India with force. Meteorite is coming to hit the Earth. The sun's about to blow up, and then this black hole appears in the moon, and shit's like a fucking ultimate apocalypse. What's the sign of the apocalypse? Wait, wait. India took Russia? Oh no! Oh no! No! It's the times. You see the toilets? And they're just like fucking. All right, all right, all right. But back to this like character and a half. Like like the thing that like I didn't actually really talk on was like the like when he dressed up as like some like celebrity or whatever, and he drove by in a Bugatti and stuff. And the reason why I bring this up is because the person that caught him in the act of doing this, because technically he didn't get charged for this because he didn't really do anything. Although he did tell these kids that he was gonna be here, he's some famous person or whatever, and then like he hired some extras and shit, the usual bullshit. The parent recognized him from all the BBC, documentaries and all that stuff, and that's why, like, I think it's important for people to talk about this guy because he's actively getting censored. Like, the people in the UK actually know about this guy; they're vividly, aware. And I think I brought this up in the last thing, but like, people just keep recognizing him. So he does the premiere, the movie premiere. He pretends like he's like some kind of Disney producer, Prince, whatever, Prince Charming. And then, like, yeah, a guy pulls out his camera, it's like, hey, it's that guy again. And I bring this up because, again, with his explosion of the, because he was trying to like show the BBC and these cops that like whatever. He's not afraid of them and shit. He's like, I'm a dangerous guy. Plus, I'm naked. And I'm smoking a cigarette. This is all true, by the way. And then, like, one of the guys, they said one of the guys who was doing the demolition, he had his kid on set with him. And he was just like, I'm weird. He's weird. And I was like, what's going on here? Why is he naked? And then some guy pulls out a camera. It's like, hey, it's that guy again. And then he goes into hiding. Like, he has this thing where his family, the Sikhs, are protecting him from like getting like booked and shit, like like hardcore, like getting like, and this is why the grooming gangs happen, right? So I was watching this interview with Baraka Amuri, right? He's this YouTuber. I'm not affiliated with him. He's an actually legitimate YouTuber. He doesn't know about me at all. I was just like watching his shit, right? And I noticed that he's talking to the Sikh guy, and this Sikh's like, "Yo, they're after me. My life's in danger." I'm like, "No, you're not. Stop fucking this. This is the bullshit that I'm talking about, man. These guys are so full of shit. These white women are on the fucking menu for you, my guy. They want your white women, okay? They call it guri guri, okay? I don't know. I don't speak their language, but I know about enough about their language. I think they call dark people kalu, or kali. Yeah, yeah, kalu for dark women, kali for dark men. I don't know, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't fucking care. But like, again, like they want that like hardcore, and they're willing to like desperately go out of their way for it. And what's funny about that is that America has implemented a new system in their immigration where if people illegally immigrate into the country, they used to be held in the country. They used to be like, they have a court date, and then, whatever, they'd be in like a facility or whatever. Kind of like, Scarface, when like they're in that like little like ghetto-ish camp and shit. Um, no, not anymore. They're just instant deported. Instant deported. The times we living in, like how hard had it had to have been pushed? Because I was seeing like another article of just like tons and tons of people coming by boat, and like as soon as they come by boat, they're like committing crimes within like the first few hours of just landing and shit. Like how is it we've come like so far, right, in terms of technology and all that stuff, and yet we have to deal with the dilemma of inbreeding, of pedophilia, of people lying for the sake of political correctness and putting the lives of children in danger. Oh, I don't really have an answer to that, but I do know that it occurs. And if you use your eyes, you can visibly see it. And with that observation, I would say draw your conclusions, but like, act accordingly. So in the case of like this, right, where it is very much it's censorship. Like, how is it we're calling it the Muslim grooming gangs, or like the Pakistani grooming gangs? Which, yeah, yeah, a lot of the members. Okay, I'm not going to disagree with that statement. A lot of the members are Pakistani, but you have to understand that Pakistan, India, Punjab, Afghanistan, these are countries that weren't created by the people who lived there. They were created by the British Commonwealth, the generals, whatever, whoever drew the line, right? And when they drew the line, like it wasn't like people separately living in their own like territories where the lines were drawn. It was pretty much everybody living on all sides. So when we're calling them the Pakistani grooming gangs, I think we should be calling them the Punjabi grooming gangs, and we should not be afraid of pointing out that the Sikhs, the guys with the turbans, inbred looking motherfuckers, they're involved with the sexual assault and grooming of young children. Thank you and have a nice day.